Hello everybody, it's Maikito. I hope everybody's having a good day. Had a good day yesterday. No video due to a very small slate, and all the props that were released even then were very late. Even this video is a little later, but it's just because I had work and I had came home late, and these picks, all the props are and stuff like that. But I came home late. But regardless, I wanted to post a video for you guys because tomorrow is a pretty decent size slate, pretty big slate for the Champions League. I'll try to have edit plays, but I also will be working tomorrow as well, especially during the times that the games will be out. So I'll try to have plays. If I do have any, they will be in the pinned comment in this video. Could be later tonight, could be before the game start. Next time might not have any, but regardless, just want to put that out there. But I went and found some props that I like. A lot of the games here are evenly matched, but I did manage to find a couple that I like, so let's get straight into those. And the first one is Geertruida to go lower than 15.5 passes playing at home for Leipzig, going up against Aston Villa. In the league, per 90, he averages around 60 passes, but I feel like these numbers are inflated because of the amount of games that they play against low possession teams. But if you look at games where they play higher possession teams, in which the games they play against bigger teams as well, he went under this mark with 28 against Frankfurt, in which they had 36% of the ball. And he played as a center back, in which he technically should have more. He went under with 44 against Inter Milan, in which he had 50% of the ball. He went under with 40 against Celtic, in which they had 40% of the ball. He went under with 30 against Dortmund, in which they had 44% of the ball. He went under with 27 against Liverpool with 42% of the ball, and went under with 30 against Juventus with 45% of the ball. So when he goes against these teams that hold around 50% of the ball, if not more, he goes under this mark and under by a pretty significant amount. So I just like the boost just off of the numbers just there. And he's also very likely to play left back, and he's a right-footed player. And I mentioned that specifically because if you do play soccer or you've been on the pitch, and just imagine in your head trying to pass the ball on the left side of the field with your right foot is a very awkward. It's not easy to do. So I don't expect him to play that much on his side. There's a reason why either left backs tend to be left-footed and right backs tend to be right-footed, because it's just easier for them to pass on that side. But he's going to be playing on the left as a right-footed player, and it's just awkward to pass that way. So that's just even better for us. I like the fact that he's going to be playing there because it's going to be awkward for him. I don't expect him to play that much on that side. And Leipzig need the win because they've lost every game so far in the Champions League. So I like this prop because I see one of two things happening. Either one, they need the lead and they're either losing, or it's tied and they need the lead, so he could get subbed out for an attacker, which is good for us. Or two, they do take the lead and he actually stays in the game, but because they take the lead, they're just going to focus on defending and give Aston Villa the ball, and Aston Villa will control possession of the ball. So I feel like regardless, it's a win-win situation for us, whether it's him playing on the left, just the position that they're in. I just like the line. I like the matchup. I like the circumstance. So I like Geertruida to go lower than 50.5 passes. And the second prop that I found that I like is Jamal Musiala to go higher than 3 shots playing away from home for Bayern Munich, going up against Shakhtar. In his last 5 starts for his club, he's had 3+ in his last 4 out of 5. And I am not counting the Leverkusen game that he recently played in not that long ago, mainly because they had that red card very early on, and that obviously skewed his line, so I don't count that against them. But he had rest. And their most recent game against Heidenheim a couple of days ago, he came off the bench, so he's well rested. He only played 23 minutes, and even then, he took 3 shots with 2 of those being goals, so he was well rested, and he played well off the bench, so that's good for us. He's in good form. In the league, he's averaging 4.34 shots per 90, and in the Champions League, he's averaging 4.08 shots per 90. We need him to take at least 3. He's averaging 4, which is what he needs to go over, which is great for us. And he's a really good dribbler, so even if he's going to get a lot of passes and get the shots, but even then, he's a really good dribbler and can create the chances himself. And he's a long shot taker and is not afraid to take those long shots. In the league so far, he's taken 29 from inside, 11 from outside, and in the Champions League, he's taken 9 from inside and 9 from outside. And he's pretty versatile as well. Around 33% of the shots that he takes are with his weak foot, so he can shoot with both feet, and he's willing to take long shots. He can create his own chances. It's great for us. And Shakhtar haven't been doing great when it comes on the defensive end. They've allowed on average 19.4 shots to opponents in the Champions League. And Bayern Munich's striker, Harry Kane, is injured, and Bayern don't actually really have like a secondary striker that they can play off the bench. They don't have a second striker, so they've actually been playing Muller as like a false 9 role, but that just has made Musiala a more attacking role. and made him less of a playmaker and more of an attacker, more of a shooter. So he has more of an attacking responsibility. It's a good line here. Bayern Munich have missed out on a couple points in the Champions League and have a good matchup here, and I expect him to be aggressive. So I like this matchup. I like the line. I like Jamal Musiala to go higher than 3 shots. Before I get into the money lines, if you guys could like the video, comment as well. It helps boost the video out to more people. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and turn on notification. And if you're more interested in supporting the channel just a little more, I do have the memberships available, linked in the description for those that want to support the channel, like I mentioned, and get the videos out before they go out public, because the lines tend to get bumped and taken away relatively quickly sometimes when these videos go out public because of the influx of players betting. So if you want to avoid that and support the channel, link for that as well. And then all my codes for all my player props, underdog, PrizePicks, is code Maikito, linked in the description, and I really appreciate anybody who supports me in any way. My first money line play, we're gonna try this one more time, and if I jinx it and somehow this doesn't hit, I'll really retire this 3 days in. But we're going to be optimistic, give it a one more shot. I like this play regardless, and I feel like most people will agree with this. And that's the Liverpool money line going up against Girona for the day 1 of the ladder challenge. Time for us to bounce back. A good run is due. They're the only undefeated winning team in the Champions League, winning all 5 games, and they've played really great teams. Every single team that they've played so far is much better than Girona, except for maybe Bologna. But they beat Bologna, they beat AC Milan, they beat RB Leipzig, they beat Leverkusen, they beat Real Madrid. They've played all these great teams, and now they're playing Girona, who I'm not gonna say it's a horrible team, but they've played much better opposition, and they're coming off a disappointing draw to Newcastle, and Girona just lost 3 days prior to when they're playing this game at home, 3-0 to Real Madrid, so they're not in great form at all. Girona have lost 4 out of their 5 games in the Champions League, and they're not nearly the same team as last season. Obviously, they lost Savinho. Obviously, they lost their striker as well. And they're just not the greatest team that they've been since last season. And 2 of their key players, Herrera in the midfield and Tshiganov in the attack, are both injured as well. So even then, they're even more lackluster in the attack. So it's just even better for us. And Liverpool in the Champions League have only conceded 1 goal in 5 games, and that's against those even better attacks than Girona. Girona are weak in the air, and Liverpool have Van Dijk, they have Gomez, they have Gakpo. Girona are weak on the counter. Again, they have Gakpo, they have Salah, they have Luis Diaz. And Girona are weak against through balls, and they have Liverpool has a lot of great players that can send us through balls, such as Trent, Szoboszlai, and Jones. It's a great matchup. Liverpool is arguably the best team in the world right now, and they can keep their streak alive of 6 wins, no draws, no losses in the Champions League, and they're doing great. I expect them to do good against the Girona team. So I like the Liverpool money line going up against Girona. The second play that I found that I like is PSG -1.5 going up against Salzburg. You can currently get this on Fliff at -125. PSG have struggled in attack and have not been themselves when they've been able to attack. This doesn't seem to be a problem in the league. They've scored 37 goals in 14 games. It's just that a lot of the teams that they've matched up against in the Champions League have been tough defenses. Arsenal, PSV, Bayern Munich, Atletico Madrid, they've had tough defenses, but now they finally get a good matchup against Salzburg, who have conceded 15 goals in 5 games. So they average 3 goals against them a game, which is good for us. And Salzburg has scored 3 goals in 5 games in the Champions League, but all 3 of those goals came in 1 game. So that's just, they were honestly lucky in that game. I don't expect that to happen again. They've been scoreless in all the other ones. This is a must-win for PSG, who are actually right under the playoff spot. They've been underwhelming, like I've said before, in these Champions League games, but they finally have a good matchup here. They play possession of the ball. They're good on the counter, regardless, even when they don't have the ball. They're going to have a lot of chances, which is good against a team who concedes a lot of chances. If PSG can control the ball and create a lot of chances, in which they do, especially against a team that concedes a lot of goals, that's just even better for us. And if you look at how much PSG scored in the first half and in the second half in the league, they've scored 18 goals in the first half and they've scored 19 goals in the second half. So even if they take a lead in the first half, I do not expect them to slow down, especially because as of now, their goal difference is -3. So they need the goal difference as well if they want to have a higher place in the Champions League. First of all, they need to win. They need to score goals because of goal difference. They have a good matchup against a team that concedes a lot of goals. They're a great attack in the league, but now that they have a good matchup here against a weak defense, I like them here. -1.5, I think you're getting good value. So like PSG -1.5 going up against Salzburg. thank you everybody for watching. Obviously, quickly going over last video's picks. Player prop wise, it was the 1-in-1 day. That one that missed was the added play. Dunk, higher passes. They took the lead, gave the opponents the ball. We had the DMP, which was Grifo, and even the lean Colpani also had a lean. Sorry, it was a DMP that didn't start, and then Montipo on the 2.5 saves hit. Lately, there's been a couple DMPs. People have like saying like, oh, they're onto you, blah blah blah, but no, that's not the case. I guess it just happened to rest players, but in the Champions League, that's much less likely to happen because they need to play their best players that they can. So I don't expect any DMPs tomorrow. And then the ladder challenge, day one, we took Frankfurt to win. They scored the goals that were just had goalkeeper mistakes, which led them to concede. I tried to avoid that the next day by taking their goals instead of the money line, and I said I didn't think Fiorentina won by just one goal, 1-0, and that's exactly what happened. They won 1-0, but that was also because they rested a lot of their players because I guess they had a weaker matchup. So we're just very, very unlucky. Both Reeds were there. We were just unlucky, but hopefully tomorrow against the Liverpool team, who I trust a lot more, we can get that rolling. We can get a good run going when it comes to money lines and player props. We've been doing really great when it comes to player props. Hopefully we can carry that on to the money lines and the ladder challenge. But other than that, I hope everybody has a good night, a good day, and we can cash out tomorrow.